Now we're going to learn about if statements, which we can use to control the flow of our program using those comparison operators that we saw in the last video. So we're just going to use our same senior example from the last video, but we're going to use if statements to make our output just a little bit better. So before, we just had to print out these zeros or ones, but really what we'd like to do is something like this. If senior, print senior, and otherwise do nothing. So with our if statements, we can do something like this. So we could actually write if senior, we need, and then here we would print senior, and then we don't need this anymore. And actually, I'm going to comment out everything below here, just so that we don't have to deal with that for now. So I've already computed this variable senior, which is either 0 or 1, based on what this evaluates to. But it's a little more readable if I just do this comparison as the condition for my if statement. And so, little Vim trick here, I'm going to highlight this so I can start at the beginning of the thing I want to highlight. I'm going to press V, and then I'm just going to press E, which goes to the ends of the words, and now I'm going to press Y for yank, and then I'm going to do the same thing on top of what I want to paste over. So I just pressed V to get into visual mode, and then I pressed E, oops, oh, I got out of visual mode, I think. Pressed V, now I'm going to press E to highlight that, and then I'm going to press P to paste. So instead of doing that up here, I'm going to do it as a condition, and this means that I don't even need this senior variable, right? So I'm going to go ahead and delete that, and if age is greater than senior age, I want to print senior. I need a new line. Oh, and I need my print format here. And since I'm not doing anything, I just have one single condition here, and that is all I need. So my if statement starts with an if. We can see that that's a reserved keyword in C because it's being highlighted. Then we have our condition. And then we have the what should happen if this is true. And let's go ahead and compile and run. So I need to do senior. Maybe I'll compile it to example again. And senior example. So I have some warnings about my unused variables, but I'm just going to ignore those for now. And this is example, and let's see. So we just are thinking about seniors, so this person is a senior at 68, and let's try -10, because that's a valid integer, and nothing happens, just like we wanted, because if they're not a senior, nothing should happen. So that is an example of an if statement with just one outcome, I guess, that we're interested in. We could also, let's say, instead of doing nothing, we want to print not a senior. So that's easy for us to do. We just use an else. So an if-else statement we'll always execute one, either what the if said or what the else says. And if the condition in the if is true, then this will execute. Otherwise, whatever we put in the else will execute. And so we said we want to print not a senior. All right, and now let's just double check that that works. We need to compile. I'm going to ignore those warnings, and then I'm going to run. Let's say I'm 8, not a senior, and if I'm 900, I am a senior. One other thing to point out is that in C, for a single line if statement, I can actually leave off my curly braces, and that should still work. I'll try that just to make sure that I'm not lying to you here. And it looks like it's working. But personally, I just always put them on because as soon as I have more than one line in here, let's add another line. So let's say I wanted to say senior, you get a senior discount. So as soon as I have multiple lines that should evaluate if my if condition is true, then I'm going to run into problems if I don't have those curly braces. So let's try it. And yeah, I'm just getting a bunch of issues here. I guess those curly braces, we say those are guarding the if statement, it looks like. And so to fix this, I would need to put in my curly braces. And for readability, what we usually want to do is we're going to start our curly brace on the same line as our if condition, and then we'll end it on a new line at the same indentation level as my if statement, and everything inside my if statement or my else will be indented. So yeah, I like to just always include my curly braces. So there we have our basic if and our basic if else. So if I have multiple, let's say 3 options that I want to consider, for example, let's check out our boomer. Oops. Yeah, let's do something with our boomers. So let's say I want to say, instead of doing all this stuff, I want to print younger than boomer, boomer, or older than boomer, depending on age. So what do I mean? I want, if the age is less than the minimum boomer, I want to print younger than boomer. If I am in the boomer age, then I want to print boomer, and if I'm older than a boomer, I want to print that as well. So I can use that using an if, else, if, else. So here, if age is less than boomer min, then I should print younger than boomer, else if, and this one can actually be a little more complicated, if age is Oh wait, no it's not. So we only will get to this else if that first if was false. So at this point I can say else if age is also less than or equal to boomer max, then I should do something. Boomer, got a new line here. So this logic here I checked that we're strictly less than boomer min. So if I get to this point, we know that we're greater than or equal to boomer min. So then all I need to do is check that age is less than or equal to boomer max, because then I know that I'm a boomer. And then finally, I don't need to check anything at all, because if I get to this else, then I know that I'm strictly greater than boomer max, and I can print older than boomer. So let's try running this. And maybe we'll get rid of some of these variables because we don't need them. I'll just get rid of both. And right quit. And let's compile and run. So let's say we're 80. So we think we're a senior and we're older than a boomer. We are a senior and we're older than a boomer. How about if we're 60? So we should be not a senior, but we should be a boomer. Not a senior and a boomer. So it looks like this is working how we expect. And the final thing I want to show is nested if statements. So this just gives us an alternative to this if, else construction that we had above. So say again, I want to just print whether my input was younger, a boomer, or older than a boomer. But I want to do this using nested if statements. So what do I mean? Well, one of these is actually exclusive of the other, right? If I'm older than the boomer age, then I'm definitely older than a boomer. If I'm younger than the max boomer age, then I could be a boomer or I could be younger than a boomer. So first off, I can say if my age is greater than, I think it's max boomer, but let's actually go to the top. Oh, it's boomer max. So to go to the top of the file, I can always press GG, and to go to the bottom, I can always press G, and I use that all the time to navigate around my files. So it's actually, and then I just did CIW, change in Word, and I want to do max boomer. Oh no, I think it might be boomer max. Another nice thing is Vim is giving me those warnings when I use an undefined variable. So pretend I had an E there and I wrote, it tells me that undeclared boomer max with an E is undeclared. So that's pretty helpful. All right, back to our nested if. So if age is greater than boomer max, then I know I'm older than a boomer. So I just used Shift V to highlight this line. I'm yanking it, and then I'm just going to paste it right here. Now, Otherwise, I'm in the case that my age must be less than or equal to boomer max. So I can use a nested if here. So if my age at this point is, let's say, less than or equal to boomer min, oh wait, no, sorry. If age is greater than, this is where comments would help me. How about boomer and not boomer? So if I'm a boomer, then my age must be greater than or equal to boomer min, and I can say print boomer, and I need a new line. Oh my gosh, okay. And otherwise, younger, right? And I still want to make sure I've got a new line character in there. Just going to move my not a boomer comment up to somewhere that it's more appropriate. So here I have a nested if statement, and let's comment out this other way of doing this. So I'm just going to use a multi-line comment here. And I could even get rid of my senior stuff because I don't really need that right now. So let's compile and let's run. So say my age is 99, older than a boomer. Let's say my age is -100 or younger. And let's say that we're right in the middle somewhere, like 70, and we are a boomer. And that is that for if statements.